basically shut it out to me on Saturday. I always get a little self-conscious of these things sometimes, because I kind of like, maybe you call it imposter syndrome or something else, but I'm sort of like, I don't know. It's this sort of, and
Start the episode by Bridge calling you Mr. Big Shit, and then we close it off with this. I think people can kind of put two and two together. Nick doesn't like when people put him on pedestals, but he absolutely loves and appreciates it. So there you go.
There you go. Welcome, everyone, to the Power Platform Boost podcast, your weekly source of news and updates from the world of the Power Platform and the Microsoft community, with your host, Nick Dolman and Ulrikke.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. And you?
Good.
Yeah.
Back home again for a while.
Good thing you don't get jet lagged like the rest of us.
Yeah, coming this direction is usually not too bad, although I did sleep a good solid 10 hours, I think, coming home and everything. But it was good. I spent, it was a bit of a whirlwind. Went up to Norway, went to met with the team of what we're working on, went to Collab Days Oslo, which was really, really cool. Saw a bunch of the folks there that we know from the community, giving some presentations. It was a nice little event. And of course, you and I hung out on the Sunday, kind of tromping through the woods with your kids and everything. It was a lot of fun. That was really cool. It was like Norwegians, right? Don't stay indoors ever. You have to go outside. You have to do something.
Like we talked about, no bad weather, just bad clothes or something.
Yep.
Don't translate that well, but something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then, we went off to Paris for the Power Platform French Summit, which was really cool. Met a lot of people in the community that I had known through LinkedIn or other things, but had not necessarily met in person. So that was really, really cool. A few others do I speak French?
Did you speak French?
Je parle un petit peu.
Yeah.
Bonjour. It was better than, cause I saw Ryan Cunningham was doing the keynote. So I went up to Ryan beforehand and I said, "Hey, Ryan, I hear you're doing this all in French." And he kind of looked at me kind of no. And then he went up, but when he did his presentation, he's like, "Bonjour, croissant," and then dove into the rest of the keynote about all the cool Power Platform stuff.
Sounds good. Sounds like my level. I can order wine, and I can get the time of day wrong, and then that's about it.
So, but it was really good. It was a pretty well attended event. There seems to be a lot of people there. Again, it was it's part of the community that I've never really been exposed to. I think just because of a bit of a language difference there, but they had quite a few English speakers there speaking on. I spoke about Power Pages. I had 2 sessions there. Joe Griffin was there. A couple of Claire was there. Sorry, Claire, I just forgot your last name. But
is this going to be a common thing now? Because we seem to do this every episode now.
We forget names and we mispronounce names. So
let's just lead with that. Just we can shout out, but we'll just shout out in all the wrong ways. But you take it with love, and then so probably okay.
Yeah. But it was good. And then from there, I went off to the Power Summit in Prague. Power Summit? What do they call it? Power Conference in Prague. And that was really well, there's probably, I think, a little between 300 and 400 people there.
Wow.
A lot of interest. We did me and Angeliki Patsiavou did a workshop for model-driven apps on Thursday. Went really well. We had almost 28 or 29 participants in the room learning all about model-driven apps. It was really interesting. It was an eye-opener for me in a sense of a lot of folks working in the Power Platform. They've built Power Apps and Canvas apps. They might have written Power BI reports, maybe even done Power Automate. Model-driven apps to them seem kind of like even a completely foreign concept. And that's why they came into this. I know, right? they came into this workshop to learn about this, and you really saw the power of model-driven apps. Model-driven apps aren't the most prettiest things in the world, but if you're dealing with large corporate enterprise data and Dataverse, like we're talking thousands of records, trying to do some mass transactions or try to do a lot of even management of things, model-driven apps is really the way to go. And it's true that it is the low code, no code, but a lot of power approach to this. And it's interesting. Let's actually, reverse a week before. So as we talked about our last episode, I just got back from Ignite. That week we had the Dynamics user group put on the a Canadian meetup, which was the first in-person meetup for the Dynamics user group in Canada. Which also was pretty interesting in terms of the things like that. And there's actually a shout out to my wife, who's really behind the scenes in the community. Like she participates by reading and absorbing a lot of the community stuff. She builds a lot of cool apps and things like that. She keeps me humble and kind of, making fun of my pseudo celebrity status, as I say. But she did a session. Yes, calls me the big shit. So Brigitte, her name's Brigitte. She did a session on model-driven apps at the Canadian user group, and it was really cool. I actually learned a few things, and I was able to take some of those things and apply that to the workshop that we delivered in Prague. So
nice. That's really cool.
So pretty cool. And then the day after, there was the event itself. Again, and Angeliki and I did a really interesting session on kind of power pages and model-driven apps, and sort of started it out like in a wrestling theme. They're going to be against each other, but really showed how these things work together and really complement each other and that kind of thing. So that was a very fun session to do as well. It was the first session that her and I did together. Of course, anybody who knows Angeliki knows she does a lot in the community calls. And does a lot of she has her blog and things like that as well. So it's good. I like collaborating with different people of the community because I can learn from others. Of course, I love presenting with you. We haven't done it in a while. So I think we got to fix that next year. We got to make sure that happens. And then there's a few others I've talked to as well. I said, hey, let's do a session together and just, we'll see what happens. I just, maybe a little bit of I wouldn't say even a spoiler because we don't know, but me and Matt Snecker and George Dubinsky put in a session for a couple upcoming events as well, which I think has a really interesting angle to it. So hoping that gets selected. So again, if you're out there in the community, if you're new to the community and you're not sure about speaking, definitely reach out to someone that's a little bit more established. They're probably more than happy to team up. I think both you and I had mentored some folks for Color Cloud as well. In terms of their session submission. So in terms of, there's help out there if you want to become a speaker at these events and, get to the point where you could travel the world and meet exciting new people and talk about all this cool stuff that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Elvira. It's my mentee for Color Cloud. She submitted her session, so now we'll just have to wait and see. And also, I have a collaboration in the works as well with someone doing BC, so we'll see. It's going to be a fun spring for sure. And of course, we're already planning for everything 2025, so that's going to be pretty awesome. And
and what you say about BC too, in terms of collaboration, the same on my end. I'm actually collaborating with Andrea, who I met last year at Dynamics Con, and she's a fellow powerlifter and holds deadlift powerlifting records in her state. So we're teaming. Well, we put in a session together. So teaming up because I said, it's good to have someone who knows BC. I know Power Platform, Power Pages. Let's collaborate together. And that way you can learn from other people in the community. But also I think we'll try to, if the session gets submitted, kind of also put a bit of a powerlifting theme to it as well. So,
yeah, go figure. And also, I mean, the conferences like Color Cloud and Nordic Summit and Scottish Summit have also had mentoring programs where they kind of do this in a more systemized way than kind of just a bit loosey-goosey like we've been doing it. But and I think it was very valuable. And going on stage with someone more senior, you learn tons. And I learned something from you every time I see you present, although I've seen you present a million times by now. I always learn something. So is really worth doing to get into speaking. So,
Cool.
speaking of speaking, do you want to speak about the new things that we have going on for this episode?
Yeah, sure. Of course, the news never stops. So the very first thing that came on my kind of radar was for our friend Lisa Crosbie. She put out a video on building your first autonomous agent with Copilot Studio. Now, what caught my eye on this was after Ignite, and even on the, like I think I mentioned the last episode, on the plane ride back, I tried to piece together my own agent because, you know, the whole week of Ignite is like, oh, look how easy it is. And beep, 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 you know, these pieces together and you create these agents that are going to go out and do all your work and blah, blah, blah. Life is wonderful. And then you actually sit down and try to do it. And you're like, makes no sense, you know?
Yeah.
So, this is why I went through Lisa's video, and it was a great walkthrough because first things, I learned 3 things. It's a little bit more tricky to get working. It's a little bit difficult. So you have to learn how these pieces work, what exactly you need to do. So in terms of job security, again, AI is not going to take our jobs. It's just going to make it more. The other thing that really caught my way of thinking, and she shouted this out too, was I was building my agent in terms of, I approached it like I was going to build a Power Automate flow. I want this to happen. I want this, and then this, and then this.
Telling it what to do.
You can't think in those respects. You got to actually put these pieces together and let the AI kind of with the agent know what to do with this information you're giving it. And seeing it through, and then actually these can be very powerful, but you still need those humans, the human in the loop, to piece these together to make sure it's reading, using the right information, security, of course, making sure that works. So it's about I think it's it's under 30 minutes, but it's a great overview. And, Lisa, I thanked you already privately through this, but again, just a big shout out to you and all the other videos that you do. And I know that you're going to do a lot more Copilot videos in the future. So if you're trying to learn this stuff like the rest of us, Lisa's YouTube channel is a great resource to get those foundations put in place without the Microsoft marketing cheerleading stuff. No, great. Lisa's a great cheerleader. Don't get me wrong, but she approaches it with the right respect, right angle. So
let's put a pin in that and revisit that with the story later. I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I watched Lisa's video as well, and it gave me kind of a new confidence that I could also kind of probably get this to work. And also something she said that I wanted to highlight is it's tempting to create an agent thinking that this is going to be my customer support agent, is going to handle all the things that I need handled in my environment. But actually, it's better to have 30 different agents that are specifically designed to do one task. So what she created was a very simple return policy agent, and she turned off the generative model, meaning it would not be able to go off to the internet and hallucinate and find questions to recipes for chocolate cake. It would simply be able to answer based on a Word document that she uploaded, and only that. So if you, and of course, it, by the trigger being an email with a certain subject title or something along the lines of returns, that kind of limited that little agent to be just in that little bubble. And that is new way of thinking for me as well, because I haven't really, it made sense to kind of, because then you will also be very much in control of what that one agent does, and you have a whole team of agent that does different things. You can kind of help keep that in check in a sense. So I really like that, and good video as always, Lisa. You lead the way.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's move into some more Power App stuff. And it's interesting. There was a link. It was posted by sorry,
Keith Atherton.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, he posted the link about, but it was something that was actually posted a couple of years ago by Dani Kahill. Of course, we all know what Dani's stuff. He did we have that Power Pages diagram that I helped him with. But he has this, basically a JavaScript cheat sheet. So if again, let's go back to model-driven apps. Model-driven apps, yes, you have business rules, you have business process flows, but a lot of times you have to go in, you put on your pro dev hat and build some JavaScript around model-driven apps. And his cheat sheet really lays out a lot of the different functions, how to do things like show and hide sections, how to hide tabs, some dialogues, how to refresh and save the form, like always little things that we would probably Google or probably now ask ChatGPT for. But sometimes just having that cheat sheet pinned to your bulletin board right beside your desk, if you're using a lot of these things, is a really great resource. So I know it's like, like I said, some of this content doesn't age well, but some of it does age or still is very relevant. And this is one of them. So we're going to put that link in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that we can kind of recycle and highlight this, because also this diagram by Dani, which is now posted by Keith, the resource for it is a blog post, the JavaScript code snippet cheat sheet by my old colleague Fredrik Engseth that we talked about, what was it, last summer? So
right. Oh, yeah.
Kind of coming full circle. I love that. So kind of shout out to all three of them, kind of bringing this all full circle and recycling that, because like you said, those snippets, they don't change. And so, yeah, I just love that.
And especially if you're in a situation like I do find myself in, where sometimes I might be a month or two away from working on a model-driven app because I'm working on Power Pages stuff or building something else. And then I have to circle back to it and like, oh yeah, how did I do that again? Well, these are the types of resources that really, really help jog your memory and get you back into the game.
I don't know if that applies to anyone but you, because you're the only one that I know that kind of knows all of these products that well. So yeah, it might be just you.
Well, but something that I don't know a lot about, things that here's the things Nick doesn't know. And one of the things that it's been on my list it's been on my list for years, is to actually build a PCF controller component. And every time, Diana, Birkelback has a workshop, I'm always doing a workshop at the same time because I want to take her workshop on building PCF controls because I've not done it. And I know that there's resources out there that I can read online and get ramped up. I just got to sit my butt down, and maybe that will be my Christmas thing. Sit down.
Yeah, it's a Christmas challenge, Boost Christmas challenge. We make a PCF component and then we talk about it in January. How's that?
Yeah, and maybe try to get did Steve offer out a bounty? We're going to talk about Steve in a minute, but or maybe this is why. Maybe this is the cause of the controversy. Anyways,
the podcast episode.
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna love that.
Okay, going to the yes, the announcement was that React and Fluent-based virtual code components are now generally available. So
it's been out for like what, 3 years, 2 years?
Yeah.
Finally, it's GA, and everyone's been using it.
Yeah, and that's the funny part too, right? Because even Microsoft themselves admitted, well, yeah, we still support it. We just finally, let's stick on that GA tab.
Did they forget to just flip the switch? Because I don't think, because it was a surprise to me, and I don't think that goes for just me. It's like, oh, it wasn't GA. Oh, okay. Well, now it is.
So a lot of the key benefits, unified control styling. So it looks like everything looks the same, the styling across the apps, improved performance as well. Because I know we even use as a user of PCF controls, or sometimes these things are just, you see the spinning and it takes a little while to come up. So hopefully that's just going to make things a bit better. And then of course, simplify. Now, if development's now simplified, then maybe you and I will be easier for us to learn as well.
Well, we'll see. Time will tell. Tune in for the next episode, next episode, and you'll find out.
Exactly.
Low coders can do it. But and also I saw a drawing where, because it includes both the Fluent UI component and the React components as well. So before you had to kind of embed both React and Fluent in your component, and now you can actually, that is embedded in of itself in the component infrastructure or kind of the base layer. And so you don't have to have that in each of the components. You can simply just add it. I think that's where the performance comes from, as far as I understand.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
And reuse and all the good stuff we learned in school about software development, like reuse and all that other things. So congrats Microsoft for getting that out. And again, we'll put the link to the blog announcement in the show notes, which links to the documentation, which hopefully will help us start building our own.
Yep, maybe there's a blog post and a video in the making. We'll see. As Boost tackles PCFs. And also, this is, of course, just a small piece of the bigger announcements that you can find in the Power Apps November update. So April Dunnam created another one of the Pulse update videos that I watched to see what's new, that I watch every month. She kind of summarizes all the things that are new to the designer and all the other things in the Power Apps space. So you also may have noticed that the designer has a UI update. It looks a bit more fresh and sparkly. Yeah, and there was a lot of new, small, teeny weeny details in that announcement. So go in and check.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking. There's a big list here, so check that out. I mean, if we could have a whole episode just talking about that, I think. So.
Yeah. And also I wanted to mention something that came out of Ignite that kind of slipped under my radar for some reason, because I heard someone talking about highlights from Ignite the other day, and they talked about, agentic AI, of course, and they talked about this and that, and then of course the new updates to managed managed environments. And I thought, what updates? That totally slipped my radar. And apparently there was some licensing changes to managed environments from Ignite, where before, if you used managed environments, had to use premium Power Apps and Power Automate licenses. Now they've turned it so that it applies the other way around. And let me quote what the blog post says. As long as all active users are appropriately licensed with at least one premium license. That means either a Power Apps Premium or a Power Automate Premium license. Managed environment features will work and customers will be compliant. And that is a very good change. So I thought I would highlight that for everyone because managed environments really are amazing. And now it's easier to get on board with it.
Yeah, and I think that this is the thing too. Like, I think this is still, I hear a bit of confusion. You don't need special licenses for managed environments. You just need your users to have the premium licenses in order to use the environment, because that's always been kind of managed environments cost more. Like, but hold on a second. You should this goes on a whole other rant about Power Apps Premium licenses. A Power Apps Premium license is $20 US per user per month. And then I keep hearing, well, that's really expensive. If that is too expensive, then Power Apps is not for you.
Yeah. But of course, you also have the Power Apps per app licenses that you still have.
Yes.
Enable you to kind of just use one app, or also the pay-as-you-go one. So it is more complicated than that. Of course, if you have a huge organization with 20,000 users, you can't really have premium features and licenses for all of them. But now all active users, then this applies to all active users.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But I mean, it's again, I always like to go back to the how much do you spend on coffee for your employees? Now, again, not everybody does. I get that. But if you're getting business value, if there is business value, then it's a case of the Power Apps is a good deal if you can actually build some useful apps and you get good ROI, as opposed to trying to muck your way using Excel Online or SharePoint lists to try to do enterprise type things. So that's going to be an ongoing battle and debate, I know, but I just like to throw that out there every so often.
Yeah, and let me throw something else out there, because the latest, or not this one, but the one before that episode of the Nordic Summit podcast, Mark, Christie, and Jonas Rapp is being interviewed by Malin and Benedikt, and they talk about this exact thing: is that people like Jonas Rapp have made so many amazing Extreme Toolbox tools for us to use. And if you as a professional use one of these and you don't contribute, you don't kind of pay in to help them out, it's kind of, they talk about how that's so important. And you as a professional, how much time a week do you save by using one of Jonas's tools? Then maybe it's time to donate and to help out, because they do this out of the goodwill of their hearts, basically, and they save you time and money. So
absolutely.
Yeah. That's my formulated shout out. And donate, people.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, absolutely. No, this is something I keep saying that every year we should have a day or a week or for community tools as some sort of promote all of these tools, like XRM Toolbox. Like seriously, if anybody figured it, I'm sure it has saved millions upon millions of dollars in terms of productivity, if not billions. And that is a free tool.
Yeah.
So to buy these guys like a pizza or a coffee or a beer, like, come on. It's a no-brainer.
Definitely. And of course, do what we do. Shout out and tell the world about these tools so that they get more widespread. And I see Jonas, he is now updating his tools every week. I just see him pumping in blog post after blog post about enhancements that he's making to his apps. Wow, where does he find the time? And then, and this is a segue. So, XRM Toolbox and XRM Toolcast and Daryl Labar, which is one of the hosts of XRM Toolcast. I saw a blog post from Daryl that I just need to talk about because this is right up your alley. So first of all, on this blog, it says a little dirt never hurt anyone. And of course, the blog is .net dust.blogspot.com. So just right off the bat, I just love that, Daryl. Fantastic. And then, of course, the title of the blog, I don't think that's the title, but the first thing it says on the blog is auto formatting if statements sucks. And then he's kind of stroking over the sucks part and then exchange it with has room for improvement. But of course, because I saw this in the weekly, the newsletter, the Power Platform Weekly or Dev Weekly. And of course, that RSS feed doesn't catch that is kind of stroking over the word. So it actually says how it sucks and has room for improvements. I like that. And it's Daryl just ranting about how Power Effects formulas are auto formatted and how it's all wrong and out of date and doesn't make sense. And yeah, disclaimer, this entire blog is an opinion is how it starts off. And I just love blog posts like that.
This is such an old man yelling at cloud type post, but I love it. It's so cool. Like, it's just, I could have written something like this. I totally get it.
I had to bring it up because I know that this would be right up your alley. Old man yelling at the thing, doing it wrong.
Yeah. Big shout out to Daryl as well. If anybody knows, follow like Daryl's, he used to do a lot of videos and stuff like that too. And he has a lot of great content and is an overall super nice guy and an amazing developer. And I know he's an independent as well. So, I know sometimes he's really super busy, but other times he does have availability. So if you need a pro dev, like gun for hire, Daryl's your man.
Oh yeah. He does a lot of good plugins, right? That's kind of his territory, plugins and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's done some community tools as well. Like, the late if I get this wrong, he is going to have my head. I believe it's the late bound generator. But anyways, because there's a whole little sub argument of early bound versus late bound and .NET and writing plugins and everything like that. So, I'm pretty sure Daryl's on. Let me just
Daryl tool in my notes and I'll grab Daryl's tool from XRM Toolbox and put it in there. How's that?
Perfect. That's perfect.
Now we have a shout out to XRM Toolcast. We have a shout out to Daryl and his blog and his tool. So you made amends. He's going to be happy anyway. Hey, Daryl.
Perfect. Cool.
All right.
Great.
So do you want to talk about the thing that we have been alluding to for the last 20 minutes?
Yeah. And I want to be, obviously a little bit, I want to tread lightly. I do and I don't.
Let me put a segue in there. Talking about old men yelling at the cloud.
First off, yeah. So for those of you who maybe have been living under a rock for years, there is someone in the community who probably everybody knows. And if you don't, like I said, where have you been? And it's Steve Mordue. And Steve is a good friend of ours. He's a friend of the podcast. I know, Steve, I know you're listening. So I do want to shout out and maybe celebrate your contributions as a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional to our community. And I know you'll continue to do that. But kind of in an interesting, this is posted by Steve, actually. He has been removed from the program for concerns about code of conduct. He says, apparently I was speaking a little too much truth to power. So it kind of goes on about a little bit about but the thing is, it wasn't an angry post. I've seen angry posts by people who were booted out of the MVP program or people that had not been renewed in the past. Very bitter, angry towards Microsoft. Steve is not this at all. Very respectful in his post. Said he's not bitter. Talked about the program, how he really recommends it to everybody. I would as well. If anybody's in the community, the MVP program is a lot of fun. You get a lot of it. It is a lot of work. You have to determine if it's right for you. But yeah, and the thing is, we know about Steve is he does do a lot of posts. He calls out a lot of criticism on what Microsoft does, which I feel, if done correctly, we shouldn't be afraid to criticize Microsoft.
We do that all the time.
We do. And again, without spilling any kind of secrets, you and we had a meeting with other MVPs with the product team last week. And it was a very engaging conversation. And we provided some very,
Norwegian candid, unfiltered feedback.
Yes, and which they took because we were respectful about it. We had a conversation. It wasn't like we gave the reasons why we felt that this was important, and Microsoft they took that criticism as well. And I also know I was speaking to someone pretty senior in the Microsoft chain after this announcement came out too, and that person even also said, "Yeah, we need to be called out on our own BS basically sometimes." Now, there's ways to do it, and it's also how things are interpreted. So I don't really want to get into the, Steve thinks it's this one post that he posted that probably just went a little bit over the line, which kind of caused him to be removed from the MVP program. Again, I want to be very careful on that because I also don't want to put any bad light on Microsoft or on Steve, but it's just one of these situations that I think just deserves to be called out in terms of Steve. I want to call out Steve's contributions to the community because it's been very good. His contributions toward Microsoft. I believe some of Steve's stuff has greatly improved Microsoft's product. But realizing we're all human, we all make mistakes. Sometimes it's a case of, we need to be able to be in a good place to provide some of that feedback. And again, we just have to probably go about it the right way, and sometimes realizes we do step on toes, and sometimes there are consequences to that.
But to me, also Steve's a very good storyteller, right? That's he's such a good storyteller. And in the blog post as well, he said that he was kind of planning on exiting the program. So it wasn't out of the blue. And I know Steve is a very strategic man. He knows what he's doing. So I don't think any of this came as any surprise to him. And also, if you are curious about, Steve isn't one of those people that will rant and complain behind anyone's back. He's the guy that calls up Charles Lamana and has a 1.5 hour candid discussion with Charles about AI. And is it the Emperor's New Clothes kind of thing? And is it real? And does it have a future? He asked a hard question that everyone's asking, but he's asking it to the source directly. And I absolutely love that. And I'm going to miss Steve in the discussions in the room with the product team because he really does speak truth to power. And I think, just my personal opinion, I think they're missing out if they're kicking him out of the program. But if he's exiting on his own, and as a strategic plan, then that's completely fine as well. So
yeah.
I'm gonna miss you, Steve, in the program, and I think you've done all of us a huge favor by speaking truth to power. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more candid stuff from you because I know that you're not gonna stop, even though you're no longer an MVP. And I can't wait to see what you come up with next.
Yeah, and now the fact that he doesn't have that, I don't want to call it a leash, but sort of that control, that governor on his speed there. Then we'll see. Then we'll sort of see what comes out as well. So I know it'll be interesting to watch. And but again, thanks, Steve, for all that you do, and we'll continue to do, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All right. So there's a few other things we need to mention. We are now in the middle of December. And what do we have in abundance in December?
Of advent calendars.
Whoop, whoop. And there is so much fun. And I just need to say, first of all, Rory Neary. I love you.
Yeah.
I can't. Every day in my feed, there's a song from Rory, and I just love it. I just absolutely love it, and it's just it makes my day. So that is by far. Sorry, everyone. I just want to name Rory as my favorite. Done, and we're going to put links to it in the show notes. And of course, it's not just because our podcast was the first door, so to speak, on Rory's Christmas calendar or Advent calendar. So we're going to put links to his LinkedIn profile in the show notes for you guys to follow and see all the old posts that he's done.
Yep. And I know Rory listens to our podcast usually when he's doing some sort of chores around the house or whatever he's up to. So Rory, hope you're enjoying this episode and I hope whatever chores are going smoothly and you're getting the work done that you need to get done. So.
Yeah, definitely. I know he usually listens to us when he mows the lawn. I don't think the lawn needs mowing, and I don't think he has snow. So I'm curious, what are you doing now, Rory? During this?
I'm sure he'll let us know.
Send us a message. Yeah, I think he will. Maybe it's in the next song. Who knows? Okay. And then we have Power Platform Learners with the same hashtag. So this kind of confused me to begin with. I just need to say that out loud because Rory's posting his Advent calendar as a Power Platform Advent calendar, and then suddenly I found another one with the same hashtag, Power Platform Advent Calendar. So, but there are two different things.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Power Platform Learners has different content every day. We had day 5 Pro Code approach for Power Pages, custom CSS and JavaScript, for instance, by Nikita Chernevskiy. No,
Chernevskiy.
Okay. Yeah. We have now 2 Nikitas. I love that. That was very good. And also, he had a very neat trick for how to bypass the fact that you can upload JavaScript through the model-driven app for Power Pages directly. If you try to upload the JavaScript there as a web file, it will not allow it. But he had a very nice little trick how to bypass it. Oh. So that's just a little snippet for you. You have to go in and check out day number 5 of the Power Platform Learners Advent Calendar. And then we have a day with Copilot Studio. A monthly mastery by Katerina
Chernevskaya.
Yep. Which I've seen a lot of her content before. And I haven't really looked into too deep into this, but if you want to learn Copilot Studio, I guess there's 24 pieces of content that you can find by following her Advent calendar as well.
Cool.
And of course, festivetechcalendar.com is running every year. I was a part of it, I think 2 or 3 years ago during COVID. That's longer. Yeah, maybe 5 years ago even. And they have 2 pieces of content or more each day. It's a mix of blog posts and videos and online stuff. So, and it spans across the whole Microsoft stack. So that's very fun. You have Azure stuff in there. You have Power Platform stuff in there. You have a lot of other things. And do you want to talk about the next few things, or do you want me to just run through them?
Well, no, sure. You added these, so it's all good. But I don't see our friend Tino is also doing a one on Power Pages themes, of course, because that's what Tino's famous for. I'm sure he does other stuff too, like me. But yeah, different Power Pages Advent calendar. Day 1 is what is Power Pages, so he has a little video on that and basically what it's all about. And we'll continue on through the month, all these new updates. So
yeah,
good stuff, Tino.
Small little snippets. And also he dresses up differently for each video. So I'm curious. I'm going to watch all 24 posts, Tino, just to see how many different outfits you can pull out of the hat, so to speak. Unintended.
Cool. And then
last one.
Yeah, so Bulent Altinsoy, appreciation calendar. So he's shouting out different people every day, people he's met in the community thing. Is interesting because if Bulent, he is like constantly, I think he's on LinkedIn probably, it seems to be all the time. He's always posting, but he's also always promoting other people. Yes, he has the Copilot newsletter as well. So definitely check that out. We should put the link in there. I think we talked about this before.
Oh yeah, we have put links to that so many times. Yeah.
And it's interesting because apparently we did maybe meet briefly in Hamburg this year. I apologize. I don't remember this, but he was still kind of new as an attendee. But then we met each other in Oslo last Saturday in person for the first time, which is cool because I know he works with Angeliki and I've been working with Angeliki. So he was sort of the common denominator in terms of this. So that was pretty interesting to finally meet him in person. Now he has this shout out of everybody, and he's actually did one on basically shout it out to me on Saturday. I always get a little self-conscious of these things sometimes, because I kind of like, maybe you call it imposter syndrome or something else, but I'm sort of like, I don't know. It's this sort of, and
Starting episode by Bridge calling you Big Mr. Big Shit, and then we close it off with this. I think people can kind of put two and two together. Nick doesn't like when people put him on pedestals, but he absolutely loves and appreciates it. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Anyways, so those are the Advent calendars, and I think we're, in terms of our time, we're already a little bit over what we planned.
You're gonna play Time Cup now? What?
I thought, well, this is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So what did you want to close off with? Did you want to tell the people about all the events that you're going to?
Oh man, I'm just, you know what? Let's save this for next time, because let's just close out 2024. I think someone asked me the other day how many events I've been to. It's probably close to 20 when it's all said and done this past year, whether it's speaking, organizing, even attending a few, whatever. It's been great. I have a whole pile of lanyards and stuff. 2025, I think I'm definitely going to scale back a lot. I need to get my powerlifting stuff back on track, and those types of things. So we'll sort of, I say that now, and then we'll next month, like,
yeah. So I know, guys, you don't believe him either, and I know I'm gonna have to hit him over the head with something really heavy and hard one day, because he's gonna go to all of them anyways. I know, and you know that. Actually, it's to the point where I was at a conference. I think that was Scottish Summit, and you weren't there. And someone came up to me and said, "What? He's not here? How's that going to work? Because he's the one who's always here. Who's going to carry this experience onto the next thing?" It's like, what if Nick's not here? Then we might even not just be here, any of us, you know. So it's you're kind of the person that keeps the history going from one place to another. No, actually, that's been Joe this year, Joe Griffin. He's been to all of them. I think if anyone has been to more conferences than you, then it's Joe for sure.
Joe and I were talking about it. Like, you know, people think I travel. Like, well, Joe can easily say, "Hold my beer," because he's,
I don't know. I think he's been home like 10 days in total this year. It's absolute. That's just, this figure I put on the top of my head. We have to get Joe to give us the real number of how many days he's had home, whole days, because that is just crazy. But, you know, he collects experiences, and he's traveled the world, and so have you. So, but it's okay. You do that for a year, and then you scale back the next, because it's, we're human. Even though it seems like we're machines sometimes, we do have family, and we are human.
Yeah. And sometimes there's stuff going on in the background and everything as well. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. We do have one more episode this year, so we're not done for 2024 yet. It looks like, based on the calendar, to be released on December 25th. That's Christmas Day.
Yeah. So is that that's the whole big Christmas Day for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, for a lot of people, yeah. Or, you know, Christmas Eve's the night before, and Christmas Day, yeah.
Because here, the Eve is the big deal.
Right.
So on Christmas Day, we're all dressed up in our PJs, and then kind of sleep in, and then maybe there's some dinner somewhere on the evening. But the big day is kind of the 24th. So, but you have it the other way around, right?
I think it's every family and is different. Yeah. Let us know what your, if like, I know not everybody celebrates Christmas either, but basically some people do Christmas Eve and they do a big thing, and then Christmas Day is a bit more chill, or sometimes it's a combination of both. Yeah. So it'll be.
No, actually, yeah. next time, we would love for you guys to comment where you were when you heard us next time. And of course, this time as well, because we know, and I remember back in the day when the Upcoming podcast, they also used to say that, yeah, we get emails from people telling us they're listening to us while they run or commute or in the car or stuff. We want to hear that as well. Where do you guys listen to us? We know Rory was still on. Where are you right now? Let us know, because we want to know. Yeah,
for sure. Looking forward to finding out.
Definitely. With that, we will close it off. Time Cup did a bad job today. We're at 44 minutes. It's going to be a long one. And I'm done playing Time Cup. I don't win anyways. Fine.
Okay. Cool.
Have a wonderful week, everyone. And we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
See you later.
Catch you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. And if you like this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues in the community. Make sure to leave a rating and review of your favorite streaming service, and makes it easier for others to find us. Follow us on the social media platforms and make sure you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening to the Power Platform Boost podcast with your hosts, Ulrikke Åkerbeck and Nick Dolman, and see you next time for your timely boost of Power Platform news.